What if the world you see around you, the chair you're sitting on, the screen you're looking at, isn't permanent? There's a pretty provocative paper out by physicist Dr. Ahmed Rihan that suggests our reality is actually an illusion, one that's being constantly rebuilt from scratch, trillions of times a second. So in this explainer, we're going to dive into this radical idea, the Quaternary Foundation. I know. It sounds more like a question for a late-night philosophy class than a physics discussion, right? I mean, we experience the world as solid, stable, continuous. But what if that feeling, that persistence, is just a trick? Dr. Rehan's theory really asks us to challenge that fundamental assumption we all live with. And here it is, the core of the whole thing, that feeling of a solid, unchanging world. It's just a large-scale effect. The theory says that deep down, at the smallest levels, reality is flickering, blinking in and out of existence. And what we experience is just the macroscopic average of this constant, frantic reconstruction. Okay, so if reality is an illusion, how in the world is it being built? Well, the theory proposes something it calls a cosmic engine. It's this fundamental, four-part circuit that basically runs every single energy interaction in the universe. Let's pop the hood and see how this thing works. This is that cosmic engine in action. Rihan calls it the Faraday quarters, and the idea is that every single energy interaction, no exceptions, has to follow these four steps. An atom absorbs some energy, it processes it, kind of changes it up a bit, it re-emits it, and then crucially, the circuit closes. It's this perfect balanced loop where nothing is ever lost. Yeah, this really gets to the heart of it. These Faraday quarters create this perpetual, self-contained loop. It's like a cosmic dance where energy is absorbed, transformed, and then passed on, making sure the whole system stays perfectly balanced. And this cycle, when it's repeated trillions and trillions of times, is what actually builds our world. You know, every engine needs a spark plug, right? Something to kickstart this cycle. Well, in this cosmic engine, the spark plug is something you probably remember or maybe tried to forget from math class. But here, it plays a shockingly physical role. We're talking about the imaginary number, I. So I want you to forget about I just being the square root of -1 for a second. In Rihan's theory, it's way more than that. It's like a fundamental command in the universe's source code. It's the instruction that just says, rotate 90 degrees. And that one simple action is what turns a purely electric field into a magnetic one, creating the electromagnetic waves that are the basis of, well, everything. So the cycle starts with a single command, I. This triggers that first 90-degree rotation, that first crucial step that starts to transform an electric field, and that's what kicks off the entire process of energy transfer. You apply that I command a second time, and you get I squared, which gives you a full 180-degree flip. This completes the second phase of the cycle. And what's really amazing is that this connects directly to Euler's identity. You know, that equation famous for being one of the most beautiful in mathematics? This theory suggests that beauty isn't just abstract, it's describing something physically happening. Okay, a third I operation brings the rotation to 270 degrees. Now we're in the third quarter of the cycle, and the transformed energy is primed and ready to be re-emitted. Each step is just this precise, logical progression. And this is where it all just clicks together so brilliantly. 4 I operations bring us right back to where we started, a full 360-degree rotation, and we're back to the value of 1. The cycle is complete. This perfect mathematical closure is the mirror image of the physical closure of the Faraday quarters. It's what ensures the cosmic engine can just run again and again flawlessly. So, we have a perfect 4-part energy cycle, and it's driven by a perfect 4-phase mathematical rotation. You starting to see a pattern here? This theory argues that's no coincidence. If the process of reality is built on the number 4, then the actual hardware of reality, the particles themselves, must also have a built-in 4-part structure. The number 4. It seems to be the architectural blueprint for this entire universe. 4 quarters in the energy cycle, 4 phases in the rotational engine that drives it. And so Rehan's really powerful conclusion is that this pattern has to extend to matter itself. It demands that all particles have a fundamental 4-part structure. Now, this required 4-part nature is known as a Quaternion structure. And if particles are really built this way, the theory claims it solves a bunch of huge mysteries all at once. It would naturally explain particles' spin, it would unify electric and magnetic fields into a single entity, it would guarantee that every energy circuit is complete, and it could even explain why a neutron has no charge. It's just a simple case of perfectly balanced internal parts. All right, we've looked at the tiny, micro-level stuff, the engine, the spark plug, the hardware. But how does all of this add up to the solid world we actually live in and experience? To get that, we need to zoom out and take a look at the grand design. I absolutely love this analogy from the paper because it makes this whole wild theory feel so tangible. When you see the sky slowly getting brighter at dawn, what you're actually witnessing, according to this idea, is the collective startup of trillions upon trillions of these tiny four-part energy cycles, all firing up as the sun's light hits them. Reality is literally waking up. So let's just quickly boil this entire theory down to its four essential pillars. First, reality is not a continuous film. It's made of individual frames, rebuilt moment by moment. Second, all energy transfer follows that four-step Faraday quarter circuit. Third, the imaginary number I is the physical engine driving this cycle through rotation. And finally, all of this implies that particles themselves have to have an intrinsic four-part structure. And that just leaves us with one final, fascinating, and kind of mind-bending question to think about. If our universe is being re-rendered trillions of times every second, what exists in the infinitesimal gaps between those frames? It's a question that really pushes the boundaries of physics and opens up a whole new way of looking at the world around us. What do you think?